The ancient Hebrew language that the Old Testament was written in did not have vowels in its alphabet in written form. Ancient Hebrew was a consonant-only language. In the original Hebrew, God's name is transliterated to YHWH, sometimes written in the older style as YHVH. This is known as the Tetragrammaton, meaning 4 letters because of the lack of vowels. Bible scholars debate how the Tetragrammaton was pronounced. The Tetragrammaton consists of 4 Hebrew letters, Yod, He, Wa, and then He again. Some versions of the Bible translate the Tetragrammaton as Yahweh or Jehovah, most translated as Lord in all caps. Contrary to what some believe, Jehovah is not the divine name revealed to Israel. The name Jehovah is a product of mixing different words in different alphabets of different languages. Due to a fear of accidentally taking God's name in vain, the Jews quit saying it out loud altogether instead. When reading scripture aloud, the Jews substituted the Tetragrammaton YHWH with the word Adonai, or Lord. Even in the Septuagint Greek translation of the Old Testament, the translators substituted Kyrios for the divine name. Eventually, the vowels from Adonai or Elohim found their way in between the consonants of YHWH, thus forming Yahweh. But this interpolation of vowels does not mean that was how God's name was originally pronounced. In fact, we aren't entirely sure if YHWH should have 2 syllables or 3. Any number of vowel sounds can be inserted within YHWH, and Jewish scholars are as uncertain of the real pronunciation as Christian scholars are. The Quran states in chapter 17, verse 110, that call upon Allah or call upon the most compassionate. Whichever you call, He has the most beautiful names.
While we call God Allah in Arabic, and when we say Allah, we are clear, we mean the uncreated creator of the heavens and the earth, the God of the Bible, the God of the Quran. We can also call Allah by other names, so long as those names are appropriate for.
The word Yahweh appears nearly 7,000 times in the Torah. This Tetragrammaton, meaning He who causes to exist, reflects the monotheistic belief central to Judaism. However, scholars argue that Yahweh's uniqueness lies in the profound shift from polytheism to monotheism in ancient Mesopotamian societies. On the other hand, the name Allah is derived from the Arabic word Elah, meaning God. Thus, Allah translates to the God, and is linguistically tied to the same Semitic roots as Elohim, a name for God in the Hebrew Bible, though these are varying names, but both names are fundamentally linked by their origins in the monotheistic Abrahamic tradition.
In the beginning, Yahweh was known to the ancestors of Israel, particularly Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as the God who promised them land and descendants, as numerous as the stars. But it was during the time of Moses, amidst the suffering of the Israelites in Egypt, that Yahweh revealed Himself as more than a family deity. He declared, "I am who I am." This was a profound moment. Yahweh was not just the God of the past or future, but the eternal, active presence in the lives of His people. Through Moses, Yahweh demonstrated His unparalleled power. The plagues upon Egypt and the splitting of the Sea of Reeds showed that this was no ordinary God, but the Creator, who could manipulate nature itself. These acts weren't just about liberation. They were Yahweh's declaration to the world and Israel, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Yahweh became known as the God who saves, protects, and fights for His people. When the Israelites reached Mount Sinai, Yahweh offered them a covenant. "You shall be my people, and I will be your God." This moment transformed their relationship from one of deliverance to a sacred partnership. He gave them the Torah, a guide not just for worship, but for every aspect of life. Yahweh's name became intertwined with justice, mercy, and holiness. As they entered Canaan, Yahweh was a warrior, leading His people to fulfill the promise of the land. Eagle-Eye 10, Psalms 15 and 9. The conquest stories, like those of Jericho, emphasized that Yahweh's power was supreme, but He also demanded faithfulness and obedience. The Israelites learned that Yahweh was not just a God of war, but a God of morality, who judged His people when they faltered, as seen in the warnings of the prophets. With King David, Yahweh's role expanded as the protector of a united Israel, blessing its rise as a nation. David's Psalms portrayed Yahweh as a shepherd, a refuge, and a king. When Solomon built the temple, it became the dwelling place of Yahweh's name, a symbol of his eternal presence among his people. Through exile, return, and survival, the Jewish understanding of Yahweh evolved. Today, Yahweh remains the one God, eternal and unchanging, the source of life and the heart of Jewish faith. Yahweh's story is the story of a people shaped, guided, and forever bound by their covenant with the divine. For Muslims, Allah is not just a name but an embodiment of the Creator's attributes, described in 99 beautiful names in the Quran. These names, like Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, and Al-Hakim, the all-wise, offer a comprehensive understanding of the Creator's essence. Similarly, Jewish tradition reveres Yahweh's attributes, often expressed through actions rather than explicit descriptions.